Mr. Chancellor, while Convocation provides us a time-honored occasion on which to recognize individual achievements, today we deviate slightly from the norm by celebrating a couple whose shared dedication to public service embodies a generosity of community spirit that merits our recognition and praise. Kelly and the Honorable Michael Meighen. The Honorable Michael Meighen is a retired Canadian senator and past president of the Progressive Conservative Party of Canada, who continues to practice administrative and commercial litigation as counsel with Norton Rose Fulbright. He is a graduate of McGill and Laval Universities and has distinguished himself throughout an impressive career in the realms of law, politics, and charitable patronage, most notably as co-chair of McGill University's fundraising campaign. Kelly Meighen is president of T.R. Meighen Family Foundation, which bears the name of Michael's father, Theodore Roosevelt Meighen, son of former Canadian Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Arthur Meighen. Kelly is a proud graduate of Huron University College, whose volunteer and philanthropic contributions to Western and to the broader community are, in a word, epic, both in scope and impact. Together and separately, Kelly and Michael have supported an astounding list of causes and institutions that sets an inspiring example of leadership for others to follow. For Kelly, Western is a family affair, as both of her parents and her sister Catherine are Western alumni. Her father, Dr. Richard Dillon, also served as Western's founding dean of the Faculty of Engineering Science from 1960 to 1971. Kelly has served Western's Board of Governors in several capacities, including most recently on the university's Fundraising and Donor Relations Committee. She is also chair of the 1878 Societies, which engages our most generous donors, and is deputy chair for student support programs on the volunteer campaign cabinet for Western's $750 million campaign, Be Extraordinary. Apart from Kelly's dedication as volunteer, Western also has benefited greatly from Kelly and Michael's generous support. Through their personal giving and through the T.R. Meighen Family Foundation, Kelly and Michael have donated more than $2 million to Western's academic initiatives and capital projects. Their philanthropy has supported priorities ranging from graduate scholarships and nursing education to the construction of the Faculty of Engineering's Claudette McKay Lawson Pavilion, and most recently, the Paul Davenport Theater in our Don Wright Faculty of Music. But the impact of the Meighen's community service activities reaches far beyond Western campus. Reflecting the couple's shared love of performing arts, the Stratford Festival stands among their favorite organizations. Kelly and Michael's $5 million gift to Stratford in 2000 marked the largest single donation in the festival's 50 years history. And they have both served the festival as dedicated volunteers in various roles over the years. Beyond Stratford and Western, the couple has given time, expertise, and financial support to the arts, mental health, wildlife conservation, healthcare, and social services. It was Winston Churchill who once asked the following question, quote, "What is the use of living if it be not to strive for noble causes and to make this muddled world a better place for those who live in it after we are gone?" End of quote. Mr. Chancellor, I believe the Meighens, through the numerous noble causes they have supported and through their good deeds and actions, merit our praise and recognition. With that in mind, Mr. Chancellor, as President and Vice Chancellor, and in the name of the Senate, it gives me great pleasure to ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa upon Kelly and Michael Meighen.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor, I admit you, Kelly Meighen, to the degree Doctors of Law, honoris causa. Got to keep the glasses on. I admit you, Michael Meighen, to the degree of Doctors of Laws, honoris causa. Congratulations to you, Michael. Well done. Too late. On behalf of all assembled here today, I should now like to invite our newest alumni, Drs. Kelly Meighen and Dr. Michael Meighen, to address Convocation.
Mr. Chancellor, Vice Chancellor Chakma, honored guests, fellow graduates, family, and friends. I'd like to begin by saying how honored I am to be recognized today by Western. It is a huge compliment and a thrill to be given an honorary degree by your alma mater. Michael and I have been extraordinarily lucky to have had the opportunity to involve ourselves in a number of wonderful institutions. For me, Western has been one of them. Throughout, the people we have met have become our friends and colleagues and have become, in a way, a part of our team. It is this notion of team that I would like to reflect on briefly this afternoon. But before I do, I will tell you about the last time I was at a Western convocation. A year ago, I attended the ceremony for the 2012 class from the Schulich School of Medicine. The honorary degree recipient was a friend of ours, Dr. John Noseworthy. John did a residency in neurology here at Western, and today he is the CEO of the renowned Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. His address was notable for its candor and honesty about what he saw as his professional shortcomings and failings. It was quite an inspirational speech, and afterwards I expressed my admiration to him for his frankness. He told me that nothing but full disclosure was appropriate for young people listening to their convocation address. You gotta lay it out there, he said. So, with John Noseworthy as my standard bearer, I too will be frank with you. In his introduction, the Vice Chancellor mentioned my interest and work in mental health. Among all the illnesses that afflict this world, the most devastating by far is not a physical malady like cancer or heart disease, terrible as they are. They rank behind, far behind, the pain caused to individuals and families and the loss of productivity and human talent to organizations, universities, economies, and nations by mental illness. By mental illness, I mean everything from depression, addiction, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, alcohol dependence, and more. When I was a student here, so many years ago, no one talked about mental illness. Few of us even knew what it was. If we did, lots of us thought it was a character flaw or a personality weakness. Today, we have made progress surrounding the stigma of mental illness, but not enough to keep it from impacting countless lives. Which brings me back to the notion of team. If we are lucky, from a very early age, a team emerges around us. I reflect now on my life, well on, and the names of my team began always with two fellow Western grads, my remarkable parents, Richard and Elizabeth Dillon. But the team also included the wonderful Burton Thomas, the rector of the church that we attended on William Street here in London during my formative years. It included my grade 12 math teacher, Mr. Boyle, who took me aside before my June exam and said, "Kelly, if you can just get 40 marks on your own, I'll find you the other 10. Also on the team were the orthodontist, a succession of long-suffering music teachers, the pediatrician who, with aunts and uncles and godparents, helped smooth the way through my youth and young adulthood. It was in my first year here at Western that the team got a bit of a workout. I developed crippling anxiety. We know it today to be anxiety disorder. As midterms loomed in November, I became unable to concentrate. I couldn't go to class because I couldn't sit still, and the idea of writing an essay or taking an exam precipitated utter panic. I couldn't tell anyone because I remember thinking that my roommates and my new friends would think that I was crazy. So I wandered the campus, trying to look normal and purposeful, perhaps hoping that someone or something would intervene before I was found out. Because I was filled with shame, and the idea of divulging my circumstances to anyone was more than I could contemplate. I was fortunate. The team got to work, specifically my parents and my residence Don at Huron. It turned out that even then, Western was a pretty good place to be if you had a crisis. I got the help I needed, and although the route was circuitous, I went on to graduate and enjoy my undergraduate experience along the way. I will be forever grateful to this university for the support they showed me. What my story illustrates is that none of us is immune from the threat of mental illness. We know the statistics. 1 in 5 Canadians will suffer from some form of mental illness in their lifetime. My loving family, my great circle of friends, my pretty idyllic childhood did not protect me from becoming ill. Not crazy, not weak, not flawed as I was convinced I was at the time, just ill. We have made progress on the stigma surrounding mental illness, which has long meant that people wouldn't seek help. Many young people still struggle with depression, addiction, or psychosis, and they struggle alone. They don't have a team to call their own. Beyond their sense of shame, there are lots of reasons why people are on their own. Estrangement or distance from family, the challenges of adapting to a new culture, or being from a culture where the stigma surrounding mental illness makes acknowledgement either impossible or discouraged. Being alone to navigate mental illness, even if it's transitory and eminently fixable, isn't something any of us should tolerate for others or have to endure ourselves. We can all agree with that. Yet, as individuals, we're pretty good at avoiding tough and unwieldy conversations. Has anyone ever said to you that they were feeling stressed and you've responded by saying something like, "You'll feel better, tomorrow's the weekend"? Or have you ever watched a friend who you're pretty sure has issues with alcohol and thought, "I should really be talking to so-and-so, but I'm not the right person"? Or perhaps he'll figure it out for himself. I won't interfere. I think what's really going on here is that we don't know how to start the conversation. It's awkward. We don't know the way in. When someone has a physical illness, we all know what to do. Stay in bed, call the doctor, call 911, get help. But if we see someone is overwhelmed, or if we recognize problematic behaviors in ourselves, it isn't as easy to take action and either provide or seek the support that's needed. So my hope is, as you strike out into the world, that you pledge to acquire the fluency that will allow you to seek help for yourself, or in turn to support a colleague or a neighbor or a friend who you believe needs help. As a start, there are dozens of excellent resources on the web that will help you start that conversation. A very good first step is something called mental health first aid. Then think of a few people you trust who can be on your team. They don't have to be your age. They can be a mentor or a grandparent. They can be a world away. Technology now puts them in your hand. Those on your team will surely change over time, but the important thing is you want to be unafraid to call or text anyone on your team and say, "I'm in trouble and I need your help." When you have the tools, you can be part of others' teams, as available, supportive, and intuitive for friends, colleagues, or family as they can be or have been for you. You will be doing a great service for yourself and for others. You will become part of a community working to break down the stigma of mental illness by talking and helping, one conversation and one thoughtful gesture at a time. Some of you may think it inappropriate to use this very happy occasion to talk about mental illness. On the contrary, I think there are few things more important as you embark on this next stage in your life than your mental health, than understanding how to take care of your mental health and that of your family and friends. My congratulations to each of you on your graduation. May the world be as full of possibilities, satisfaction, and fun for all of you as it has been for Michael and me. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the faculty, and above all, graduates. Wow, that's a tough act to follow, Kelly. But then again, I've known that for almost 36 years, so I'm kind of used to it. But it is a very special honor for me to receive this degree from Western and to have been asked to address such a talented group of graduates. And it's particularly meaningful for me to receive it in conjunction with Kelly, who has already earned a degree from Western and earned it like the rest of you, the hard way. It's important, then, on this day of celebration, that we recognize the very considerable accomplishments, given the many distractions and hurdles that one must get over when pursuing higher education. It's no small feat to obtain a degree, especially from one of Canada's leading universities. Make no mistake, it requires intelligence, dedication, and perseverance on your part, but it also requires the support of your family and friends whose sacrifice and encouragement should not go unrecognized today. In deciding what so-called wisdom I might impart on this occasion, I ran across an article in the Globe and Mail where certain famous Canadians recounted either listening to or giving convocation addresses. Former Prime Minister Paul Martin recalled listening to the address at his graduation and said quite candidly, "I can't think of anything worse than to be graduating when your own father is giving the convocation address." Thank God he was good. But what I took away from the article was that the most important characteristics of such a speech are that it be brief and that it be relevant. Brevity I can promise, and hopefully relevance, but that will be for you to judge. So what to say to such a diverse and knowledgeable group? Just 3 words: opportunity, challenge, and service. No, sorry, that's not the end. I promise brevity, but not quite to that extent. Notwithstanding the challenging economic situation you face and the fractious, divided world you enter, you've been provided with great opportunity. Opportunity to pursue your careers, but also the opportunity to contribute beyond or perhaps through your careers to the betterment of the society in which we live. The education you have, the people you know, and those you will come to know will all help provide you with that opportunity. And my particular background is politics and law, 2 professions that are not at the top of most people's lists, at least not politics. But contrary to many these days, I continue to view politics as public service and as a high calling. I looked on my 21 years in the Senate serving Canadians as an honor and a privilege. And therefore, it would be remiss of me not to address, however briefly, matters in the news of the last week that relate to public service. For me, the foundation of public service is respect for the Constitution and loyalty to one's colleagues. And when times get tough, due process and loyalty are doubly important. With a few notable exceptions, neither concept has been much on display in recent weeks. And when that is combined with a failure to acknowledge the facts, whatever they may be, it is a high calling of public service that is denigrated. But with regard to politics today, one could ask, why do our political leaders and what they do seem to be so disconnected from the concerns of Canadians? And why do the issues debated in our legislatures seem so distant from the real challenges faced day to day by our fellow citizens? Where, one might ask, is the leadership? Where are the big ideas to move society forward? As one enters the center block of the Parliament buildings, carved at the base of the Peace Tower is a sentence from the book of Proverbs: "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Therefore, one could also ask, where's the vision? There are such great opportunities for leadership and vision, dealing with our environment, climate change, and balancing that with the need to develop and transport our natural resources to global markets in the safest manner possible, to identify just a couple of them. But these comments about the need for respect, loyalty, leadership, big ideas, and vision apply to more than just politics. I recognize that here in Canada, we all have our heroes. Last summer, we watched daily as Commander Hadfield circled the Earth in command of the International Space Station. The late great Canadian pianist Oscar Peterson was inducted into the Walk of Fame last month, to name just two. We can all have our own lists. In other words, you don't have to be a politician to address the issues of the day. The challenge I put to you is to build on the opportunity you've been given and be that leader. Develop the big ideas and create the vision that will serve you and this country as you discover your pathway to the future. Your professors in this university have opened the door. The rest is up to you. Where does vision come from? Look inside yourselves and discover your passion. And from that passion, be it in the arts, music, science, engineering, or health, or some other area, you will find your passion. Then the vision must be put into action. For without action, nothing will happen. Vision becomes just an empty promise. And through action, you move on to leadership and to the development of ideas. It was the actor, producer, director Alan Alda who said, "Have the nerve to go into the unexplored territory. Be brave enough to live life creatively. The creative is the place where no one else has ever been. You have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition." This is your opportunity to be visionary, to lead, to think, to be creative in whatever path you choose to follow. But the real challenge is to get down out of the bleachers and onto the field and just do it. Get out there into the world and become engaged. And I really mean that. You can't fully utilize the opportunity you have just sitting in front of your laptop or of your iPad or your cell phone. I believe that we all must take time. No, make time. Make time to meet one another and speak face to face about the issues of the day, about the needs of society, whenever and wherever we can. Cyberspace will never replace the power of a handshake or the comfort of a hug, the joy of one-on-one conversation or a morning spent volunteering, and yes, the writing of a check to support a worthy cause. Engage with each other in the traditional way, in person. Your life should be a journey towards a destination where success is measured by what you have contributed positively to society, contributing in the realm of public service, service in support of your community, the arts, the sciences, and your country. And lest anybody tell you that it can't be done, keep in mind the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "Surely in the light of history, it's more intelligent to hope rather than to fear, to try rather than not to try. For one thing we know beyond all doubt, nothing has ever been achieved by the person who says it can't be done." As you go from this place, this is the message I want to leave. This university has given you the opportunity to learn, to think, to act, and to lead. And I've often said that using your talents for the benefit of others is not really selfish. Is not really selfless. Rather, it's selfish. Selfish because through volunteering, as through public service, one gains so much more personally, much more than one can ever give. Opportunity, challenge, and service. Both Kelly and I wish you well and hope that you use the opportunity you've been given, accept the challenge, and use your talents, which are considerable, in the service of your profession, but more importantly, in the service of others. Thank you.